in Dylan's inner circle. And by inner circle, I mean inner circle. Like, they've hung out almost every day since the incident occurred. And I've seen her a plethora of times as well. So you're going to notice I'm not going to use words like allegedly, supposedly, because all of this is actual, first-hand, factual information. Where should I start to clear things up? First of all, there's a lot of misconception about Dylan suffering from PTSD or trauma or any of that. None of that is accurate. In fact, when we tried to console Dylan after the incident, she's the one that was laughing at me and my girlfriend and I, talking about we're so weird when we tried to give her a hug and stuff. So she's still the same old Dylan. She's had a rough life growing up. She's been through a lot. She doesn't have PTSD and didn't suffer any trauma. The incident that night, and what I'm referring to, the feds actually put a lot of words into her mouth that she didn't say herself first. So there's a lot of leading statements that they were insinuating to her. And she was really scared the first few days, obviously, after the incident occurred. So, like, the reason none of it makes sense in the affidavit is because it didn't really happen that way. So she never stood there shocked when she saw the individual. She was just standing in a doorway, like anybody who opens the door. It was just, she opened the door and yelled at Ethan and Xana, and who she thought was their friend. She yelled at them to be quiet. That's what was going on with that situation. And she just went back into the room. She locked the door like usual. And, went to sleep. Everything was quiet after she yelled at them. So she didn't think anything of it. Everyone was creating these random stories about her being shocked or traumatized. And she didn't realize anything was going on. And it might sound crazy, might sound dumb, but she really had no clue anything was going on. They were being a little loud, so she yelled at them to be quiet. And that's how she locked her door, and she just went back to her room. She didn't want to be nosy or anything. So, she was kind of new to that house, so she didn't want to be nosy and, get all up in her business, especially at, in the middle of the night or early morning. So it's as simple as that. Everyone trying to blow that whole situation into something that's not. So, yeah, that's that. And she didn't actually get a real good look at Brian. At the time, she assumed it was one of Xana and Ethan's friend who was just getting ready to leave, who was walking out. She didn't get that good of a look. The feds were really aggressive with Dylan the first few days, which is why she hired the attorney to begin with, because of the treatment of her during the interview, more like an interrogation, to be honest. So that's why she got an attorney, because the way they were talking to her, and, they didn't really understand or believe why she's doing it live when you kind of skip rooms to get to the other two rooms. So she didn't really like the feel of how the interrogators or the feds were talking to her. And within like a few days after the incident, they approached her with pictures of Brian. I was like, is this the guy? Do you think this is the guy? This is definitely him, right? And they were almost leading her to believe this has to be the person. And she wasn't really sure, but they kind of put those words in her mouth. It's almost like, they were insinuating it so much to where she was like, I think, no, it's definitely him. And that's when they just kind of like ran with it. So what you're seeing in the affidavit is, it didn't play out that way. So Dylan's attorney and her, and actually all of us, are pretty upset at how they threw her under the bus in the affidavit. When's the last time you've seen a witness or like a snitch in a case, their actual names being mentioned? The fact that they didn't redact it. We all think that the feds and prosecutors threw her name in there purposely.
Welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. This is for educational purpose only. This is the case of the Idaho quadruples. May the 4 victims rest in peace, condolence to their families, and may the correct justice be served. 2 years has passed since this horrific crimes happened, and the trial is going to start on the 25th of August. The last trial we had was about taking the death penalty off for Brian Christopher Koberger. That's what his defense attorney were fighting for. The judge is going to make up his mind soon about it. But what I find – strange up to today is the fact that it took 8 hours for DM and BF to call the police. We've spoken several times about that, so I don't want to be repeating myself about that. But this clip that I just played was made by a YouTuber 2 years ago in the beginning of this case. This was the person who was talking made it actually. He says that he's a friend of DM. His girlfriend or fiancée is good friends with DM. And he said that everything that we've been told, that the mainstream media and the police and all have told us, is a lie when it comes to DM. DM doesn't have PTSD. She wasn't in a frozen shock of mind and all. She didn't actually even witness the crimes, but she was told by the detectives and the FBI agents too. She was kind of pressured by that. That is, if we go according to what this person is saying. We covered this, I believe, a year and a half ago. And I'm repeating this, actually showing you this for the people who haven't seen it before. And I really wonder at times, could that be actually have been true? Because sometimes you wonder, like, if DM saw the witness, the suspect, she would have had a better description. You can't say the description, the height description was 5'10", when Rand Christopher Kohlberger is 6'1", 6'2". So that doesn't make sense at all. And in the beginning, we weren't told that the surviving roommates were at the second floor. We were told they were at the first floor. So she became a witness like a couple of weeks later when Brian Christopher Kohlberger was arrested. And that was red flag number 1. They put the case on gag order. That was red flag number 2. The coroner said that the toxicological reports is not relevant, is not important. That's red flag number 3 for me. People were allowed to go home. All the students were allowed to go home. I understand they're grieving, but what about the case? People were involved in this case were ruled out too soon. And many of them got their integration done and their interviews done over the phone by the police. So how was the crime scene handled from the beginning is really important. It's an important factor in this case. If the crime scene and the forensics wasn't collected correctly, they can't use that in court then. We already saw with the Syrie and with the investigation of the pre-trial or the trials in Idaho, Moscow, how that went with Syrie. He did an excellent job, and we could see that the police did not even save it on the right files and all. So you can imagine how this case is going to look out in trial, how it's going to play out in trial. We've been told in the beginning that DM and BF heard rummaging upstairs, or DM heard rummaging upstairs, and she thought it was the Sigma Chi boys. Why would she think it's the Sigma Chi boys? Because maybe she's seen them inside the house. So this guy is saying that DM is not traumatized or she doesn't suffer PTSD because she didn't even see the crimes, but that detectives pressured her to say that she saw the crimes, and they're putting pictures and all, lining up pictures in front of her, telling her, pressuring her if that was the person or not. I'm just repeating what this person has said. So could that be a possibility? Yes. And maybe no. But we wouldn't know. Everything in this case was done so wrongly from the start. Even the description of Not only the suspect is wrong, the height is wrong. You have the description of the white car being wrong. So if DM did not see Brian Christopher Koberger, then what is she going to say in trial? She's under oath. If that is the case, what this person is saying, she'll be sworn under the court trial to tell nothing but the truth. So what is, she may turn around and say, I'm not sure who the guy was. I just felt a bit pressure that time. I wonder why DM and BF, the two surviving roommates, who knew the girl so well, knew the four victims so well, did not come to the memorial. Were they told by the police maybe not to come to the memorial? I find that to be very strange. Everyone at the memorial looked very strange. Hunter was laughing too much. Jack D was giving this look to Kaylee's father, and Kaylee's father was giving the death stare back. There's a lot of things going on at the memorial. And this guy that did this YouTube and TikTok article, who's trying to say that DM is innocent, she didn't even witness anything. Is he trying to say that DM could not hear anything happening in the house? But Ashley Bamfield told us in News Nation that DM heard rummaging upstairs, and she thought it was the Sigma Chi boys, fraternity boys. So I believe that fight, whatever spiraled up, whatever happened at the Sigma Chi fraternity party, led the crimes to the house. And I've always asked you, do you think there was a party or after party at Eaton and Xana's place? Because there was these plastic cups. I've repeated that so many times on the living room, and you see the forensic team taking pictures of the corridor. I believe that was where Eaton was found. If DM heard rummaging the upstairs, she knew it was the Sigma Chi boys, and she must have definitely ignored it because she was told not to get involved. This is all going to be interesting in trial. So if this guy is saying DM did not see anything or hear anything, or he said she saw the suspect but she didn't get a good look, the person was far away from her. So I wonder, was she pressured to say the bushy eyebrows, or the height? They got completely wrong. Ryan is like 6'1", 6'2". Why would they tell DM to say that the height is 5'10"? So did the detectives pressure DM and BF? Is that the exculpatory evidence Brian Christopher Koberger is talking about? I'm sure BF noticed the suspect or suspects leaving the house since she lives in the first floor. She definitely noticed somebody leaving the house. What's his name? Brian Christopher Koberger must have been outside just looking at the house and just peeping. And he must have seen and heard all the yelling and screaming. And he must have seen BF peeping out from a room. That could be really possible. Her windows at the ground floor, at the first floor, and right above BF's room, you have the living room. So if there's rummaging going upstairs, and obviously the unalivings was at the second and third floor, BF would have heard everything happening on the second floor. She needs to stop it. She and DM really need to straighten their case up before the trial starts, because they're going to be called to the witness stand. I wonder if that is the reason Idaho County took over the case. You have all these people who are honestly violent in their own ways, if you ask me, allegedly. You have John Jack Showalter, causing a nuisance, causing disturbing the peace in the neighborhood and disturbing the neighborhood. And then you have the Sigma Chi fraternity boys, where it seems like unalivings just happen, like accidents, like the guy who fell in the creek, Hudson Lindo. Then you have the 4 victims in Idaho, Moscow, the 13th of May. Just strange that the fraternity boys were out at the Banfield, Arkansas. This all was linked up. All these people had their own beef going on. And I wonder why the mayor said that this was a crime of passion. When I hear crime of passion, I don't only think about BK. The mainstream news wants us to think about BK, but I think more of John Jack Showalter, in my opinion, because of all his bad behavior, getting thrown out of the fraternity for harassments towards women. Brian Christopher Koberger was just awkward towards women. He did not know how to deal with women. But Showalter seemed to really be harassing women. And he was the one who passed a threat to Maddie and said, you know they're going to get you for that, Maddie. And it sounds clearly like that. No matter how you play it, there's a threat going on. And he was really upset when the girls were leaving. This is a guy who has been just a problem for a very long time. So anything is possible. And let's not forget, Showalter, DM, Dylan Mortensen, and Bethany Funk went to the same high school in Boise, Idaho. Now let's get that to sink in. There are 3 people who know each other from Boise, Idaho. And this trial is going to play out in Idaho County, Boise, Idaho. I find it all to be very interesting. I wonder if John Jack Showalter and BK knew each other. I'm sure BK was involved somehow or the other, but I think he was set up to do this crime, and he didn't even do it. He didn't even unalive these 4 students. I believe, yes, he was driving around the areas. He was involved in something of this pre-planning or planning. But I think this was bigger than we think. And I think whatever it is going to really surprise us. There's too much going on, just too much going on that night. Let me know in the comment channel what y'all think about what this guy is saying on YouTube and TikTok. That was in the beginning. He's saying that DM isn't traumatized. She doesn't have PTSD. She doesn't have anything of that sort. He's saying that the detectives and the FBI agents forced her or kind of pressured her, that she had no choice but to say that the guy was 5'10" and had bushy eyebrows, because she didn't see the person clearly. And she locked her room and went to sleep. Let me know what you'll think in the channel, the comment channel about this. It's been 2 years. May the 4 victims rest in peace. Condolence to the families, and may the correct justice be served. Justice is important, not only for the victims, but for the families to move on. Well, you have, example, the Gongalves family, in my opinion, They're really fighting and doing a lot for getting justice for their daughter. But then there has to be a boundary. And like what basically they're entitled to believe what they want to. But they've already influenced each other. I believe both the couple, especially Christy, I believe has influenced Steve more to believe that it's guaranteed that it is Koberger, unless they know something we don't know. But I don't believe they know the 100% truth. So I don't understand why they want the death penalty for a suspect that they're not even sure is a suspect. Everyone has the right to a fair trial. And I just think that the Congalvises are doing too much. I think this case is becoming more about them than Kaylee. And that is spoiling it for the other 4 victims. That's just my opinion. And I wish Steve, sorry guys, makes contact with his other daughter. She really needs him in her life. And it just makes me wonder, how much did Kaylee know her sister, her half-sister? And why doesn't Steve actually talk about his other daughter? Because it just tells you a bit about his character. I'm sorry to say, but that's the truth. He has a grandchild, he has a daughter that has suffered. He's the only parent left for her. But she said herself that she believes Christy influences Steve not to have contact with her. So how much are the Congalvis actually influencing each other is a question. What makes them believe that Brian had a unaliving kit with him? Brian was never found guilty in other states. In Pennsylvania, they checked in the nearby states in Northampton. He wasn't related to any crimes there. So why would he just get up out of the blue with a PhD, teaching assistant job? He was doing his last semester and just go and do a crime randomly of a house full with 6 people and a dog. And he didn't unalive the 2 surviving roommates and the dog. But he unalived 4 people in 2 different floors. Like Steve said, they didn't need to go to the 3rd floor. If the targets were in the 2nd floor, why go to the 3rd floor? And if the target's in the 3rd floor, why did they need to go to the 2nd floor? Just maybe passing through the door, the suspect could have seen them. But then it doesn't make sense. The suspect would have heard, what's her name, DM opening her door 4 times or 3 times. Why would the suspect leave anyone unalived? This had to be a group of people who did it. We saw the 4 figures running. And they're running towards the Sigma Chi fraternity. The timelines are wrong. Everything is wrong. Once the timelines are wrong, once police integrations haven't been done on people immediately, people who are allowed to go home, everything was a catastrophic happening. It snowed 2 days later. The crime scene was a chaos. They did not gather everything. Things were found outside the crime scene, like Christopher McDonald found the glove outside 2 weeks after the crimes happened. There's so many unanswered questions, and then they just put a gag order on it. And I really wonder what Brian Christopher Koberger, his mental health record, psychiatrist evaluation will show. I won't be surprised if he has not only weird personality behaviors, but he has some kind of personality disorder. If he did it, he must have been suffering through psychosis and such things like that. But they put his medical and his physical, records on a gag order too. But I just believe that this was more than one person who did it. Definitely more than 3, 4. Let me know what you'll think in the comments. Have a lovely night.